Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm product manager for Desigo CC, and this is another video where I'll show you how Desigo CC helps billing operators to do their job, or in this specific case, even how it helps them to manage serious situations. So we are switching into the role of Frank, and Frank is what we would call an experienced billing operator. And Frank is mainly responsible to take care of the technical billing equipment related to fire safety. So you could also call him an experienced fire operator. And in this specific scenario, Frank is at work. It is more or less an ordinary working day, and he is preparing some things for next week. And as he's sitting there and is doing his job, he begins to suspect that something bad is going to happen. So let's switch to his machine and see what's going on there. So here we are. This is Frank's workplace, and you already see that different than in our first scenario, we are now using the standard Desigo CC client and not Flex client anymore. We also have a specific client profile assigned, which makes the UI very fire operator oriented. So we only see event lamps, which are relevant for us. And we also have this collapse event list here on the left, which I can expand to see more details and again collapse again, but it always remains visible to really make sure that at every time I have a good overview on all pending events. So now back again to the scenario. So we are working here, we are preparing our things for next week, but we are feeling that something is going to happen. And while we are thinking of this, we see that suddenly the system has reported a fire alarm. So we see that a fire alarm has just occurred. And what the system now did is it automatically started this assisted treatment procedure here, because even for experienced operators like we are, this is always a challenging situation. And the system is now supporting us to treat the event by guiding us through these individual steps. So the first thing that we have to do now in order to treat this event is to acknowledge it. And then we can just go ahead with step number one, which is simply about going through this document that we see here, which is about following the alarming and evacuation procedure. And once this is done, we can mark this step as complete. Then we select step number two, which is about locating the alarm source on a graphic to see where it comes from and also to get an overview of the situation. And here we see this is the detector who was detecting the fire. And we also see that the doors are open and unlocked, which is good, and we can also mark this step as complete. Then we select step number three, which is about verifying the situation using the video camera, because it might only be a false alarm, but looking at this, we already see that this really seems to be serious. So we can also mark this step as complete and go to step number four, which is about creating a fire brigade map. And what the system here does is it automatically creates an access route, which is then printed out and handed over to the fire brigade and tells them exactly where they have to go. Then we go to step number five, which is about confirming that the air handling unit has stopped to really make sure it's not running anymore and that the smoke is not distributed within the building. And looking at this, we see that it has stopped, which is good, and we can also mark this step as complete and go to our last step, which is about initiating the evacuation procedure. And what the system here does is it informs the people in the building via various communication means, can be mail, can be, for example, messages on their screens, about the situation and that they have to leave the building. And when we now look into our mailbox, we also see that we have received this mail here, and also the other people in the building would have received the same mail. And if we want, we could even generate a tweet via Twitter to really make sure that even the last person in the building is now aware of the situation and is going to leave. So that's very much it, at least from what we can do from our side. So now it's really about waiting for the fire brigade to come and to take care of the situation. So this was Desigo CC in a fire scenario. If you like this video, please also check out the other ones where we look into the other scenarios as well.